On a boat ride at the lake. And I'm also on live, vlogging a live. Where the fuck is she at? The sun looks like it's trying to come out. There she is. Looks cloudy today. So we're on the boats. We're on the top. We're getting ready. We're boarding. Got our seats. I'm on live down there. It's like a little cruise at Saguaro Lake, and it's like an 80-minute ride, and we just go around. So we got on the top. There's a bottom level, but we wanted to be outside on top.
Let's get Arizona, Connecticut, Seattle, Washington. Yes, New Hampshire, Missouri, who's from San Diego? What are you doing here? No, I'm kidding. Right, we're probably nice, just as nice weather today. What? Yes, you're pointing at him. He doesn't know he's from out of town. Where? Maine.
Spain.
Spain? Oh, we had someone from Spain yesterday. España. Who else? Yes, sir? Knoxville, Tennessee. You're pointing at your friend. She doesn't know she's from out of town. Oh, hot. Uh-oh. We're on the same boat. Uh-oh. Yes?
Denver, Colorado.
Beautiful Denver, Colorado.
Normal, Illinois.
Normal, Illinois. Germany. Oh. Where? St. Louis, Missouri. Do we have anyone on this boat from Arizona? We have 4. Do we have any Arizona natives? Born in the state of Arizona. Who was born in the state of Arizona? Look. They're all over 7 years old, too. See, they exist. We get Arizona natives on this boat every day. Well, we're going to leave in a couple of minutes. I have 2 very, very important rules that we do have to go over before we leave. We do ask that you don't stand in those areas. If you do need to rest your legs and kind of stand up for a while, just head down the stairs by those engines. That's a nice area, unobstructed. You're allowed to stand down there. Other than that, enjoy the day. You had a question? Oh. Oh my gosh. That's okay. No one listens to me anyway. So we're going to do a little life jacket drill as we pull away from the dock, let you know where those are at and how to wear them. And I think that's everything. Just enjoy the day. Oh! Not only is he protected from the wind, but all the rain that comes down that cliff will funnel toward his base. Now it takes about 70 years just to grow its first arm, so he's probably 100 to 125 years old. Now by contrast, this poor little fella on the end, well, he's in a terrible spot. You can see any rain he gets really has to fall right on top of him, just a couple feet in either directions, and it's going to funnel away. Now, he's probably 40 or 50 years old, but he's going to have a really hard time living a long, healthy life. I do want you to notice the black streaks coming down the canyon walls today. We call that desert varnish. Desert varnish is evidence of a past waterfall. It is amazing to note so many waterfalls in an area that normally receives around 7 inches of rain a year. But during our monsoon season, when those storms come rumbling up from Mexico, we can get as much as 2 to 3 inches of rain in an hour along the 22-mile perimeter of Saguaro Lake. Now, as that rainwater washes over the rock, it leaches a lot of minerals, mainly manganese and iron oxide. Now, it has a rather long life, around 200 years, but because of its shallow root system, it is very vulnerable to the wind. The flower of the elephant's head and his big floppy ears. Now, some people see an elephant looking directly at us with his ears on both sides of his head. Others see the profile of an elephant with his head and trunk to the right. Still others who've had several of Madison's delicious margaritas see an entire circus up there. But regardless of what you see, that is known as Elephant Rock. Now also off the port side, rising up about 60 feet from the bottom of the lake, is Shiprock. Shiprock is complete with numerous navigational aids, including reflective buoys, reflective signage, and lighting. Now Shiprock is a spire. You may have noticed another odd-looking spire. Sonoran Desert and nowhere else on Earth. The Sonoran Desert stretches from northern Mexico into central Arizona. In fact, the Sonoran Desert ends about 20 miles north of here. So these particular cactus are in the extreme northern portion of the Sonoran Desert. Now, if you've ever spent any time in any cold climate, and I understand quite a few of you have, you know the dangers of having pipes that can burst on a freezing winter night. But believe it or not, the same thing can happen to the saguaro cactus when it is very young. It is a notoriously slow-growing plant, taking 10 years to grow to the towering height of about that is Apache Lake, which is formed by the Horse Mesa Dam, and the number one lake on our chain of lakes is Roosevelt Lake, which is formed by the Roosevelt Dam, at one time the largest masonry dam in the world. Now, if you were almost like a baseball glove, and you can see it here just to the left of that tall single saguaro. Now, that is known as a crested saguaro. Botanists aren't really sure what caused it to become crested. It's definitely a genetic defect, but they can still live long, healthy lives. Now, that one did have a little arm. You can see that little nub there off to the left under that crest. It had a little arm that fell off a couple of years ago. We were kind of worried about it. In fact, all of these were looking pretty bad. We were going through a pretty rough drought a couple of years ago, but thanks to all the rain that we've had, in fact, we've got about 12.5 inches of rain here at the lake over the last 9 months. All of these plants, trees, the Palo Verde trees, the mesquite trees are all really flourishing. Now, I did mention that they are rare in the wild. There are some websites online where they actually chart the locations of all the crested saguaro throughout the Tonto National Forest, as well as the Sonoran Desert. As far as we know, that is the only one that we are lucky enough to have here on the shores of Saguaro Lake. So I'll spin around here. You can see a lot of these saguaros are just starting to get their little white flowers. They're a couple weeks late, but better late than never. Courtship dance where they kind of bob their heads and run across the top of the water. That one just went under. There are several in a little cove coming up, but it's kind of neat when you do get to see that. I did mention a little bit earlier the bald eagle lives 25 years and mates for life. The western grebe is a little different. It lives 8 to 10 years, but it is known as being seasonally monogamous. And I think the technical term for that is college. Before you get to the beeline, the divided highway, but keep an eye out to your left. There's a pretty large flat grassland area there, and it's only about a half mile from that horse facility. So that's a very, very popular spot for those wild horses to come.
Boat cruising at Saguaro Lake in Arizona. It's like $25, $26 per person for an 80-minute ride going through the mountains and the lake. It's very nice. Today's a beautiful day.
Enter this canyon, I do want you to keep your eyes out for bighorn sheep. When we do see them, more often that sheep has a pretty interesting history here in Arizona because we have to kill the bighorn sheep to keep it alive. Okay, well, enjoy the bighorn sheep population was estimated to be around 2 million. They were pretty abundant. Unfortunately, unregulated hunting almost wiped them out. In fact, in the span of 100 years, their population was all the way down to 15,000. Now, thanks to conservation efforts over the last 100 years, there are about 60,000 in all of them. the other neat thing about it is you can actually spend cash on this. This is the only item on the boat that we take cash for. It just makes the donation process to them a whole lot easier. So if you have a $5 or $10 bill burning a hole in your pocket.
Just got off the boats. They have like a boat cruise, and it takes you into the rocks and the mountains, into the lake, and it tells you around about the lake and the mountains and everything. It was fun. It was for 80 minutes. Now we're back. My mom and friends in the restroom. But yeah, it's a nice view up here. It's pretty and it's a nice day. It's not hot, it's just like perfect weather, to be honest. It's nice.
Really?
Get out of the car's way. At the lake. So after the lake, I went to the bar with my mom and my dad, and now we're at the casino. There's my mom. My dad is outside. But yeah, I lost my money. I didn't win today.